It's me, the Grandma Quilter, and we're back. We're back with the stitch along with Hedy with Slick Stitches. Slick Stitches as we're doing part two of her unconventional poinsettia pattern. And here's Hedy.
Hi, everybody.
There you
It's me, Slick Stitches.
go. That came out good, Hedy. All right, today I am going to be doing part two. And part two, I don't know if the camera can see it, but that's part two right there. You see it up there so pretty? You can't see it, can you? Okay.
It's too high.
I'll take it off the design wall and show it to you this way. This is block two of the unconventional poinsettia. Isn't it pretty? So I'm going to show you how I made this. Hedy made it another way, but I made it this way. So I am going to put it up here where you can see it on the design wall right here. There. Put my design wall in my room today so we could play. Hedy, show us what you've done.
So I go and put things on my design wall.
Sure.
I'm gonna flip you around. No, can't flip you around. Gotta flip you around this way.
In a minute, I'm going to get set up because I'm going to show you how I do.
Oh my gosh, this isn't working.
Sorry?
This isn't working.
What's not working? Your second camera?
We don't have the second camera set up.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
So I'm trying to show you. I can't flip it around. So I have to do it awkwardly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. All I'm going to do is sew these together because what I'm going to make out of these are half square triangles. So we're going to do the 8 at a time method. Is it 8 at a time? Comes out what? 2? Yep, 8 at a time method. These are 5-inch squares. And I'm just going to sew around it while Hedy's getting that together.
So I showcase things on my design wall.
Oh, look
and
how
that
pretty.
way I get it set up just right.
Yes. I will keep on sewing here while you're setting up there. Because that's what this is, just to sew along. We're just showing you our different processes.
So for myself, I like to showcase my fabric because then I see where I need to change something. Like I had this block here, which is so pretty, but it's too light. So I had to change my center blocking.
Gotcha.
So I decided to go with this one, which you can see
yes
more vibrantly.
That deep purple is gorgeous, Hedy.
It doesn't blend in.
That deep purple is beautiful. And the whole thing with any type of pattern that you choose to make, color is always going to be what makes it either pop or be more subdued. Color has to do with everything. Color, saturation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't understand that in the beginning, so a lot of my beginning quotes were just mishmash. Now, with Karen Brown, I learned about light, mediums, and darks. Also with Chris, they taught me a lot about, looking for that kind of variation. And you can tell the difference in a quote using that lights, mediums, and darks and making them pop in different situations. My color scheme for here, I wanted something more darker because I'm not used to using darker colors. I'm always using white as background. Mine's like a yellowish mustard color, and I love the way it makes the blue pop. And that dark blue, it makes it look black from far away, doesn't it? Look how gorgeous it looks.
It does. It's a gorgeous combination.
Thank you. I'm learning, Hedy. I'm telling you, I'm learning. And
you're doing awesome.
Inspired me. It inspired me. I'm going to put this here to the side. You can't see it on camera. But I need to cut this. And I always do this wrong. So wait a minute. I always do it wrong. I always cut the wrong way. Hedy, remind me.
What?
I sewed it around. Now I'm gonna cut it on the diagonal to get the triangles, right?
So when you're sewing it, okay, you're gonna sew it in a crisscross action. So from one corner to the other
Okay.
on both sides, right?
So I sewed
And
it up.
then
That's what I did. I sewed it wrong.
so you're sewing it on the X.
I'm sewing it on
And
the
then
X. Okay, that's what I did.
and
See, I
then
already did it wrong.
when you cut it, you're gonna cut north to south,
East
east
to
to
west.
west, and then the X's.
There we go. That's where. See, I already
So
did
you're
it wrong.
making 8 half square triangles at one time.
Yep. This I don't know why I always do the first one wrong. And again, since it's not something I do every day, I did the first couple. I did them good, but this one I already started sewing. I sewed them wrong. But that's what the important thing for us is for you guys to see how easy it is to lose track of what you're doing. Doesn't matter how many years you've been sewing or quilting. You can always make a boo boo. That's what this is for. Mine has my name on it. Mine has my
But
name.
the thing is, you're gonna learn from your mistake.
Oh yeah. Well, I still
And the
haven't
more
learned from that
times
one,
you
Hedy.
the more times you make that block, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, well, in my case, my brain doesn't function correctly, so I still haven't learned because this is the fourth one I'm making, and I'm still making it wrong. Go figure. I don't know what. It's my brain. It's the way my brain works. But okay, so I'm going to sew. Let's get this done. And this, people, if you can get, look, this is an eyebrow, you know, whatever they call it. You just get the first stitch undone with your little jack. I don't have a name for it. This is just seam ripper. But then I come with this. It's a second. I do it fast. Get it done quickly. Doesn't eat your fabric. Doesn't make holes. Unless you're like me, very impatient. Trying to get through this one now. All right, here we go. And last row. I was about to screw it up. Okay. There we go. Now, north to south, east to west.
Because once it's on my design wall, then I can easily just sew things together.
Yeah, that design won't look. This, I got this on the cheap. But if you have a piece of felt, if you have a tablecloth from Dollar Tree or one of the dollar stores that has felt on the back, that's what it is. I have it hung up here on my little storage things. I have it with a clip on each side because I usually have it on the wall. But over here, that way you can see what I'm doing. That's why I brought it over so y'all could see what I'm doing. It's just and I don't try to put too much on it because when I do, I screw it up. It falls all over the place. It gets funky. I can't help it. It's age. And another way of doing any time, instead of drawing a line, take your fabric, fold it where you want to do your stitch, just make a heavy crease. You might not see it here on camera, but I can see it under my sewing machine and just sew on the crease. So all you gotta do, sew on the crease. Doesn't take up that much time. Believe me, this is one trick. Took me years to learn. Because it's like Hedy says, I have to do things a lot, many, many times to understand what I'm doing. This is something I don't do very much because I don't do half square triangles very much. And usually I use my AccuQuilt to do them. So I don't do them like this. That's why for me, it's a little. But now, See, we have the 4 quadrants. Now I'm going to cut here, and you'll see what's going to happen. The magic occurs. You're going, oh, nope, I did it wrong. Yep, I did it wrong. I did it wrong again. See, Hedy, I'm telling you. It's not that, it's here and here. That's what I did wrong. Hold on. It's on one side. People, I'm telling you, my brain sometimes doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It just happens. And when it happens, it happens. Okay. Now it makes sense. Okay. Now. I'm telling you, Hedy, it happens to me all the time. I don't know why. I don't know
It
why. The other
happens.
day, I had such a mess. And that's the mess I'm going to have now.
Well, if you notice, I was just starting to put things up on my design wrong.
Okay,
And
here
you,
we go.
you just kind of take a step back and go, no, that's not right.
See, and that's the thing. Look, we want you guys to understand. We make mistakes. We do. All the time. All the time. Believe me, all
But
the
that,
time. What? Me, I made it wrong again. I'm telling you, it's always. I always have to have. I have a little video tool that I use when I'm making these, and I'm not using it today, and that's why I'm screwing up. Okay.
so what you want to do is look at your test block.
Yeah, I know. No, but the test blocks are fine. It's doing the half squares is where I get all squared up. But don't worry, I'm gonna get it. I will get it before this video's over. We are gonna do this. I will get it. Believe me, I will. Just that I got. And don't be afraid of fluff, people, because this gets a lot of fluff when you have to take apart stitches every 5 seconds, like I'm doing right now. I'm trying to. Okay, I need to make it logical in my brain. And I'm going to open this way. So I have to put a stitch here. No. Okay. All right. Let's just take all the fluff off. It's fluff time. It's time for the fluff. For the fluff to come off. And I invent songs, so I hope it doesn't bore anybody out there watching me. Because I invent songs. You know, and that's the thing. When I'm working on stuff that I don't grasp quickly, you know, some people make mantras, others. I invent little songs. And those little songs help me remember. Or I will put up the tutorial on my phone or somewhere where all I have to do is see it. And I'll remember. Okay, but this time I'm not going to put, because I've got to learn how to do this without putting up a tutorial. So I am going to do this. While you're there, I am going to do this. Okay, I'm going to look at this logically. I need to make half square triangles. To make half square triangles, there has to be a stitch here, so when I open, it opens this way. So I have to stitch on the diagonal, and then cut, like you said, right?
Yeah, so what you're doing is
Diagonal. I cut on the diagonal. Hold on, let me see. If I stitch on the diagonal.
yeah, so you're gonna have a line.
Yep, on the diagonal.
Or
That's what
some
I
kind
did.
of mark
Yeah.
on it.
I did it wrong because I stitched where I wasn't supposed to stitch. Oh, Debbie Gonzalez. Yeah, it's me. People, I do this all the time. That's why, look, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Me, I always try to have a little bit more fabric because I make mistakes. Wow. I try to have enough fabric to cover my boo-boos. And believe me, I have made boo-boos. And now the machine don't want to work. shall we? Yeah, it's gonna be one of those days. Yeah, but see, I'm not gonna let her get me down.
Yep.
Not happening.
So one thing you can do is you mark from corner to corner on a piece of fabric
Mm-hmm.
the piece that you're going to make your half square triangles on.
I got it.
So you mark from corner to corner, and then you put your two pieces together, and you sew on either side of the line.
This is right, right? Corner to corner.
Corner to corner.
Now do the other corner.
So now, Deb,
Uh-huh.
Debbie, you need to go on either side of the line. So you're not going straight down. That's where you're going to cut. You're going to cut it corner to corner.
Oh, okay. I know what I did wrong. Okay.
So if you have a line on it or a fold,
I know
right?
what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
this way you're making 8 half square triangles at one time.
Yep. There we go. Yeah. Now I remember. Oh, Hedy.
It's
You have
good,
to have
it's
patience
good.
with me, girl. You have to have patience with me.
Patience, what's that?
Yep. Okay. Now we do the other one. And clean it up because it's a mess right now. It's a total mess. I made a mess. But again, it's my mess. It is my mess. It does not bother me. If it bothers you, look, if you're OCD, you're on the wrong channel. I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's true. Because my brain doesn't work like other people's brains. My brain is always a mess. Always. So when I'm doing things in my brain, I understand what I'm doing. But other people would never understand what I'm doing.
See, and that's why our process is totally different.
Yeah.
Like, this is my process to put it up on my design wall and then to start sewing it together.
So now I think I got it. Let's see. If I mess it up, I have another square that I can use to fix it. But anyways, remember when you're doing this, you are going to square these up to 2.5 inches. So you have room to play in. Don't worry about it. Let's see if I did them right. I hope to God I did. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna take this out. I did this wrong. Let's see. Can it be this way? No, I did it wrong. Supposed to go this way. See, I did it wrong, Hedy. I did it wrong again. I did it wrong again. But I'm gonna fix it. That's okay. Look, I did it wrong. Look, if anybody can see why this is wrong, the stitch is on this side, right? Not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be here. So all I'm gonna do is this. To fix it, I am just going to sew on the side it's supposed to be sewn. And then take the stitches out of the wrong side. That's it. And watch. Watch the magic appear. Because, again, when I make a mistake, I always find a way to find a solution to it. Alrighty. Okay, that one's done. And then we done this. So, the thing is to get it done, you make a boo-boo, and I make a lot of boo-boos. I don't know what it is with triangles in my head. Trying to make too many. When I can make them without going crazy with just one block. I have no problems when I'm trying to make too many. Okay, now I've got it. See, here it is. I fixed it. I'm gonna square it if I can get that last stitch out. There we go. Ta-da! There's my half square. But again, I sewed it wrong, but that's okay. Again, it does not bother me. That's the stitch I was supposed to leave alone, and I cut on it. Of course I did. Anyway, I want to show you, and I'm going to see if I can bring it up here because I don't like cutting up here because it's a little uneven. But this is the thing. I love this to death. There are a lot of ways of squaring up half square triangles. This is my favorite method. I love the slotted trimmer. Why? Because it's so easy. You have, I don't know if it picks it up. You see the dotted line, you see the solid line. You're going to look for the squaring up that you need. I need mine to square up to 2.5. I'm going to put the dotted line of the 2.5 on my stitch line. And all I have to do is trim. Ta-da! See, this is the good part about this. I might have screwed it up, but there was a lot of fabric that I could use. And there we go. Voila. My little half square triangle, squared up to 2.5. All I have to do is iron it. I always iron it toward the dark side. Clean it up a little bit. Take off the dog ears. And I'm good to go. There's one done. So I'm going to do the other 4. I like to do it with my little clippers because, I don't know, I see everybody using those big ass scissors to cut little tiny pieces. I can't. These, I am going to put this in the link below. You can get it in my Amazon storefront. These are Singers. These little clippers are sharp. Oh my God, they're sharp. They will cut fabric completely, not just snip. So when you have little pieces of fabric or little big pieces you want to get rid of, but you don't want to have bulky scissors, people, best little scissors ever and very affordable. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Okay. So I am going to sew along the lines that I need to sew to make sure my triangles come out right and start taking the crap out and finish cutting and squaring up my triangles. Now, when you guys are watching this, I love it because a lot of the comments come in and really try and teach me, and I appreciate that more than you can imagine. So, if you're watching this and there's a way that you could do this easier than I did, way easier, anything's easier than what I did, please drop me a line and let me know. I would truly appreciate it because, again, my brain gets fried to such an extent that it just like just closes up, it clamps up and doesn't want to move. And my phone's gone crazy. See, my problem here is this table's a little uneven, so trying to. It's not easy.
So right now I have it on my design wall, and I'm looking at it, and I go, "Oh, I made a mistake."
You did?
I did.
See, this is the cool
right
part of these kind
here-
of sew alongs, people. We make mistakes and we
Right
accept
here,
them.
there's supposed to be a spacer,
There you go.
and I didn't put the spacer in there.
Oh
But
boy,
it's a good
Hedy.
thing
Oh,
because it's not sewn together yet.
there you go. Exact. That's what a design wall is for. You put it up. See, this one I put up so you guys could see it. But as I move this through and I start doing this, I'm going to show you how to put it up on the wall, and you'll see your mistakes. Like Hedy just did. She saw a mistake she made. She's going to correct it. It's just that basic, just that simple.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of moving everything up, and then I'd be able to
Yeah.
fix it. Like it's not a major mistake, but it's still something that I've noticed.
Very look,
And
there's yep. See, I even have the
that's the
stitching that I did
purpose of my
incorrectly.
design wall.
I have the stitching that I did incorrectly. I don't have to take it out because it's gonna come out with the trim.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is why I love the perfectly slotted trimmer. I have the two sizes, and one is that cuts into half inches, and the other one is full inches. And it gives you, it's perfect. It's perfectly squared. You don't have to use your ruler and all that stuff. If you're going to invest in a ruler and any kind of gadget or tool in your quilting room, always make sure that you invest in something you know you're going to use. Because if you're going to invest money in something that's just going to sit there on the wall and not be used, it's a waste of money. This, I purchased this. This is the exact one. This is not a fake one. This is um, the one from newleafstitches.com. Again, newleafstitches.com. You can find this on Amazon. And it's a clearly perfect slotted trimmers. People, if you have that, you're angly challenged like I am, invest in it. You're not going to lose your money. I'm telling you. I use this all the time. I absolutely love it. It helps me. And I have made those 1.5 inch half square triangles. I have made them, and I squared them with this. I'm telling you. And you can use any ruler that is equilateral, not equilateral. It's a triangle. I forget the name of the type of triangle. You can use it, and Donna Jordan on her channel shows you how to do that. Me, I just love this one because it's easy for me. I'm telling you, I just fixed all the ones I ruined. Voila, they're fixed. It's done. They're there. So now I'm just gonna iron them open and cut off dog ears. And I like to press open with my fingers initially. I'll show you
Give
here
me a
what I
chance.
do. Make sure this is closed. I just like voila, open it up. I'll either cut it off or use the my rotary cutter. But since my hands hurt a little bit,
One thing I do is I don't care about my thread color.
neither do I.
So if it's like on the purple, I've got a white thread. If I have to rip it out, it's easier to see.
Yes. And that has happened to me using, I have trouble with black thread. And I love sewing black, but I have trouble with the thread. Okay, so all I'm going to do is press them open. As you see, I finger press them towards the dark. And then just put a hot iron on top of it. Just press it, not iron. Just press, put to the side. Ow. Press, make sure it's open to the side. I'm a little uncomfortable here. There we go. Press, put to the side, and press. There we go. So now, this is what happens to me. I have to make a pinwheel. And I'm going to make it. Watch me now. When I'm making a pinwheel, my first ones always come out good. My other ones come out a little wonky. But today it's not going to happen. So, I want this. Yep, see, I'm going to do it wrong.
So when making a pinwheel,
because
yep.
this is the pattern I've been doing. So I'm going to follow that. So you're seeing what I'm doing here. I put this one up first. And then, yep, this one. Then this one.
So you just got to make sure that opposites are touching.
Yep. Oh, I did it wrong.
So you could do it and make them all like this.
Oh, I did it wrong.
Like the two together.
There we go. Got it. Oh. There we go. See it? Do y'all see it? Can you see it on the table? Yes, you can. See how pretty? Now, to not lose track, and this is where I always screw up a pinwheel. When I pick it up, This is where I have to sew. Now, sometimes because of my machine, I want to change direction to make it easier. So, just to remind myself, I put a pin in where I have to sew it from. That way, I don't lose track. Because from the table to the machine, my eyes just get easily distracted. Sometimes I'm dealing with the kids or something happens. Or the machine wants to be a brat and doesn't want to sew. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to do the exact same thing here. Hold it, make sure I've got it correctly. Pin, 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 pin. With the exact same pin I had, bring it over. Put her under. Do a chain stitch. People, chain stitching makes life so much easier. So very much easier. And now, cut it open. Let's see what we got here. Hand press, just to make sure. Towards the dark. Put it up on the wall so y'all can see. Yeah, and voila, there it is. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I celebrate it because pinwheels are my nemesis. Everybody that watches my channel faithfully knows this, but I did it. Okay, now, voila. Just make sure. Bring it over. And then while I mix it, just put it on top and pin. There we go. Now sometimes I will press them open right now. I am just pinning to this. I am, what do they call this? Nesting the seams. So I really don't have to iron. I will iron it all open when I'm done. They're pretty much well pressed already. And now just put it under the machine and sew. I always play with it, make sure everything moves the way I want it to. And always matching up. Look, if you are a quilter that can quilt at the speed of light, I salute you. I'm not. I'm a very lazy quilter. I like to take my time because I do this for pleasure, not for work. So I'm just taking my time here, putting it together. I've gotten better at matching seams. I've gotten better at matching points because I take my time now. Before I was always, my whole life I've always been rush, rush, rush. This has taught me to bring the speed down. And I did it! Okay, I gotta press this so y'all can see how pretty. Give it a quick whoosh, whoosh. The lid brush, get all those little threads out. Before I gift this, there, and voila, there it is. Uh-oh, not again. There we go. See it? Oh, pretty. Look how pretty. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. It's just so pretty. So now, what I'm going to do, there, that part is done. Now, I am going to put these little pieces together. Okay? I'm not going to put them on anything. I'm just going to sew them together. And I'm going to sew them together as the same way the colorway is on the pinwheel. So, here we go. I've got the pieces right here. So I am going to sew this one here, that one there. So I have to sew this together in the middle here. So I can put it up there. And that's all I'm going to do now is sew them all together in the exact same fashion. And I think I cut it a little too big. So let's check it out. I sometimes do that. I prefer cutting bigger and then trimming down. Just a tad bit of
Yeah, so
trimming.
if a pattern calls for me, if a pattern calls for a 7/8, like
Yeah.
let's say 2 7/8, I will go to a 3 and have that wiggle room to trim.
Mm-hmm. It's the best thing. That way you can play with it if there's an imperfection. Whatever happens, you have the wiggle room to play.
Yep.
Okay. It's just little tiny pieces, as you can see. See? Little squiggles. Alrighty then. Let's put this together now, shall we? Okay. And again, I am a lazy quilter. My hands are always and I'm just going to chain stitch them all together because they're all going to be sewn the same way. And all I have to do is make sure they're all sewn together. There we go.
So when you're chain piecing it together, just making sure
I'm sorry?
that you're when you're chain piecing it together,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure that you have opposites attracting
Mm-hmm.
and points in the same direction.
Oh, God, yes.
So you got bottom pointing together and top pointing out.
Yep.
And then you sew them together, you sew them all like this. And then when you sew the next piece together.
Oh yeah, you're on the flying gooses. No, I'm still on the squares.
No. I'm showing you how to do the 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 middle part.
Yeah. There we go. Done. All done. Now I do have where'd I put it? I haven't even touched my coffee. I know I'm needing coffee because my tummy's saying coffee. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there.
So when you're sewing it, have your fabric going in the same direction.
Yep.
So you're going to sew along the same side all the time when you're chain piecing it. You do all your pieces that way. So when you're going to do the pinwheel, because that is the block, is the pinwheel. So I have one piece there, and I have another piece exactly the same. I don't want to put it this way. Don't want to put it this way because that's not the pinwheel. So I take and I rotate that one. And there's the pinwheel. And that's all there's to it. So then I take and I sew these pieces together. We're going to nest our seams.
Okay. Here we go. Ta-da! There is my Celtic square. Now I am going to make the other half squares.
And there's the pinwheel.
Yep. They're so pretty. So, again, see, I was look. It's the exact same thing I just did, and again, I'm having the same issues. Okay, that's right. So yes. Okay, let's see if I do it right this time, Hedy. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do it right this time. because this looks like flying geese, but it's half square triangles forming a flying geese. If you want to
Yeah.
make, when you get a pattern, you make it any way you want. I mean, you have the concept is there. The designer is showing you their concept of the design. But people, you can do it your way. So if you like flying geese, do a flying geese instead of half square triangles. Get your math head on and do your math. That's all it is. Okay, let's see if I did it right this time.
So I'm going to sew these two
I
pieces
did it.
together.
I did it. I did it. I did it, Hedy.
There you go.
Ooh, I did it.
The more
Look.
you do, the more practice you get, the better you get at it.
I got it. I did it. I did it. I did it. Okay, I'm gonna sew this before I forget. Because remember, the flying geese are in two different colors. So I'm just gonna get this done. Yeah. I love the option that my machine has that when the stitch is over, it stays down. I don't have to put it down. That makes me happy. Not there's no waste of space or time or thread or anything. And there we go. These four cut now. Ooh, I did it! 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 Oh yes, I did it! I did it! Okay, and turn it around. Do the next two. You know, remember when you were in school when you were a kid and they would teach you geometry and they were teaching how to use rulers and how to use everything, and you would think to yourself, what am I going to do with that? How am I going to use that in the future? Fractions, how to add and subtract, multiply and divide fractions. Remember that? Believe me, you use it. I did it. I did them all. I did them all. Okay. So now it's trim up time. See, that's what I like about the perfectly slotted. I don't have to iron them out to trim them up. Because a lot of people complain about ironing, it shrinks the fabric, yada yada. Look, I always sponge up stuff anyway. I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at how to use and how to square things up. But in actuality, it's just, okay. These come out fairly big and you're just trimming them down. I got what, like a fourth of an inch? If I were to do this, it would go, no, it would come to 3. I have the other one, I'm not going to take it out. I could square them up to 3, but I'm not squaring them up to 3. It's 2.5. So when I'm putting my ruler down, I have enough play. If you're fussy cutting, if you're cutting into fabric that has a cute design, you have space to cut around it, it's okay. And these little pieces of fabric that are left over, put them away and you can use them as stuffing in little, I don't know, stuffed animals. Mix it up with a little bit of stuffing and it's not that heavy. Don't use it for
dog bed?
beds. No, dog bed don't work, girl. I made dog beds. It was really heavy and the dogs chewed into it and ate it up. So it wasn't worth it. Here we go. Look how pretty.
Oh.
See? Now all I have to do is cut them all and then iron them down. I'm just pressing. Again, I am not ironing. I am just pressing them open. After I do my finger press. And with a finger press, this is such good quality fabric. And I'm using this that I really don't need to do a finger press. But I'm doing it anyway. I mean, I don't need an iron. It would be enough. See, this is the problem when you sew on uneven surfaces. Okay, Debbie, fix it. Okay, I talk to myself when I'm sewing, okay? So ignore me. There we go. I talk to myself. It's a sign of age. I accept it. I accept it. Okay. And I'm using my ruler wrong, which is why it's chopping it up.
Well, there's another pinwheel.
Yay! We're getting the pinwheels out of the way.
Yep.
We are going to be finishing this series up. In the next episode, we will continue and complete our episode completely. I have it over here if you need it. Thank you. We will be finishing it up. I'll be doing I'll have all these ready and I'll be preparing the sashing and doing the sashing. I'm doing it a sashing, and then y'all remember Hedy is doing it by quadrants. So you'll see my process and you'll see hers. But it should be finished. We should have it up and running before the end of next week. It will be complete. We'll be doing it earlier, but publishing will just take a little bit longer. And then you'll have where you can get Hedy's pattern. Because let me tell you something, people. This pattern is just gorgeous. I love it. I absolutely do. It's pretty. It's elegant. Easy. That's the whole important part. Easy to make. I have a mess. And just easy. So easy to do.
Well, thank you for
Sorry?
the confidence there of it being an easy quilt.
It is an easy quilt. It's half square triangles and squares. That's the whole quilt.
Yeah, and once you master the half triangles, it does become easier. Like, I know there's a lot of people that struggle with half square triangles and struggle with pinwheels. Yep. My best advice to you is when you're making it, make a test block. Take
like
some
I did.
Fabric. Yeah, take some fabric that you don't care about, and even if it's an old bed sheet, an old t-shirt, you take that fabric and cut it out to make a test block.
Yes.
Because if you're gonna you're not gonna worry so much if it's on that old piece.
Exactly. And the thing with test blocks, look, for me, it has helped me immeasurably to do a test block when I'm doing something that looks difficult, or to do something that I want to see what it's going to look like before I commit to it. Because that's the whole thing. If you don't like it, I've done in my beginnings, I have done projects and I have completed them and I've hated them with a passion, and I've taken them apart.
And another thing with the test block is once you've done it, you can two things you can do with it. Well, one or three. Okay, one is to put it in a scrappy quilt. So it's a sampler quilt.
Yeah.
With all your blocks, and then it doesn't matter. You still used it. Another is to put it in a book with the notes that you need to remind yourself of how you made that block.
That's a good idea, Hedy.
Because if it's a block that you're having trouble with, right, you can put step by step of what you did to accomplish that block.
I like that idea. I actually
And the third thing is, give it away.
Yep, give them away. There are a lot of people out there would love to get your scrappy blocks because they like making quilts. That is so true. So very, very true. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this together by rows. This star, the way this works, you're going to see how it comes together. Remember, I'm going to show you here. This, okay, let me get you out of the way. I'm going to cut my finger. This is my pinwheel, right? I'm going to match up the colors because it's going to extend it. So this is going here, and I'm going to do the middle row first. I always do my middle rows first. There you go. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to sew those two ends together. Then at the top, you're going to see some magic. So watch. Now I put it together, and I like this so much the way it came out. It worked for me visually. So, good thing is because I finger pressed and because everything is nesting nicely, I don't have to stretch it out. My seams are matching very nicely. When I discovered ironing in quilting, I lost it. See? Look how nice that nested up. Look that line. See how that line kept going straight? But in the back, it's nested. One's going one way, one's going the other. I learned how to iron, and I'm telling you, it was a game changer for me. That's when my quilts started coming out better. Not perfect, because I'm not a perfect quilter, but they make more sense. They're not all over
But
the
there's
place.
a difference between ironing and pressing.
Oh, yes. Please explain it, Hedy, because a lot of people don't
Okay,
understand
so
that.
ironing, you're moving your iron back and forth. Like it's a continuous motion. Press, you're literally putting the iron down and pressing on it. So you're pressing that seam to where you want it. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's to press it open, press it to one side, you're pressing it down. And that is what quilters do is we press the fabric, iron it to get the wrinkles out, but we press to get the seam to go the direction we want it to go.
Yep. Okay, now I'm going to press again. And look, sometimes this happens. You see how my stitch flipped? All I'm going to do so it'll lay flat is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to cut. That's why I love these little clippers. I'm going to cut just up to that line. And there you go. Voila. It goes down. Now when I press it, it'll go down. That way you don't have to. I know there are people that will come and unstitch it and do it over again. No. I'm lazy. I don't want to. I just want to finish. I want to get it done, but I want it to look pretty. So doing it that way, I do it. There we go. All right. Pressed. Here we go. My middle block is all finished. All right. Now, this is this part from here to here. So now I'm going to make these two, and I'm going to sew them on to the ends. I have to make sure, though, that I'm matching them up to where they're supposed to go. So again, I'm going to finger press one and finger press two. And I'm going to sew them and make sure they fall into where they need to go. Always to the dark side. I like pressing to the dark side. And there are times, and I've seen this happen, this has happened to me, that the fabric is going to want to go their own way. And you know what? Let it go its own way. When the fabric is telling you, no, I don't want to go that way, don't put it that way. Remember, we watch a lot of tutorials from a lot of people that have a lot more experience than I do. Hell of a lot more experience than I do. And knowledge than I have. But you know what? What they give you is advice. Okay, that's all they're giving
And
you.
you pick and choose what you want to
Exactly. You pick
follow.
what's right for you. It's your
Yeah.
quilt, not anybody
Yeah.
else's. Pick and choose what makes sense to you. Pick and choose how you want to make it that makes sense to you. That makes you feel like it's fun. Because if it turns into a job, you're not enjoying yourself, you're not quilting, you're working. I refuse to work. Okay, so here is the part where I'm going to come. I need to make sure that, okay, my point is looking towards the inside of that line, as you can see, but it's on the right color scheme. You see that? So I know blue is the dark blue here, bubbles here, and the point is in here. So now what I'm going to do is this. And again, while I have it there, looking at it, while I'm looking at it there, before I take it away and turn it around or do what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin just to keep it together where I need to sew. Because now I want to sew it this way. Okay? I turned it around. This is how I picked it up. But I want to start here. But it's pinned, so I know that's where I have to start. Now I can take the pin off because I know where I am. That's my logic. That's how my brain functions. And I know that my point is in the right direction. This I'm not going to chain stitch because I want to make sure I'm doing them right. And bring it back. It voila. See how it matches up? Okay, so now I'm just going to press to the dark side and match it up here and sew it together. Look, I've seen Jenny Doan does it. She does chains. She does like a production line when she's quilting. I love looking at her. But me, I've noticed that my precision is better when I do block by block. If I try to do all the half square triangles and then try to do all the flying geese and then try to do all this or all that, I lose the flow of it. If I do one block and then the next block and then the next block, there's more cohesiveness for me. It makes more sense for me, and I keep track better. So that's why my room is always a mess, but it makes sense to me. That way, I keep track of what I'm doing. I know how much fabric I have. I know if I need more. I know if I made a boo boo and I need to correct. I love it. This way works. I'm telling you. You'll see. And people, this is an orange one, but the purple thing is your friend, people. I'm telling ya. I love my purple thing, my orange thing. I have an orange, blue, green, and purple. Helps keep my seams where it's supposed to go. And I'm going to show you this finished. This side. See how pretty? And yeah, the point is not lost. It's right there.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you see how pretty it comes out? You see how it matches? And I'm doing it by row. Now I'm going to do the other side, and then I will do the top row, then I'll do the bottom row, and you'll have this inner part of the circle. But these four corners are important. Right now, I only did this. On one side of this. I'm going to finish the other side. You're going to see how it's going to come together.
Okay. It's amazing how it comes together.
I love it.
With anybody's thought process, of how they do it.
Yep. That's the best part of it. Seeing how everybody thinks, understanding how everybody has their own process, how their brain works. And I think after I've been watching for so many years, I've been watching so many creators. I think Jenny Doan, and I keep coming back to her because she has given us all the permission to think differently than other quilters.
Well, you watch the three of them do a quilt.
The triple play. Oh, I love
triple play. So you watch that, and each one of them has such a different version
of the exact same block.
Of the same block.
I love that.
It's the same block that they're doing, but it's how they do it and how they place it in their quilt that makes it different.
Yep. See, me, I need to see
the one likes to work with the itty bitty size.
Mm-hmm.
But
have you seen how Jenny now has embraced the itty bitty? She's embracing the itty bitty.
Not.
Oh yeah, she's done a couple of quilts, couple of blocks with smaller, very small measurements. Okay, let me make sure I got this right. Yes. Yeah, she's embracing the itty bitty. I am not afraid of itty bitty because I'm not afraid of messing up. I don't need my itty bitty to match.
For myself, the itty bitty, it's too small for my fat fingers.
Well, but look at mine. But again, when I made my quilt, the quilt I'm using on my bed, I used 1.5 inch squares to make the patchwork. And in the beginning, not that it was hard, I would say more that it was tiring is the word I would use. Because my hands get tired. And then I gotta square this up a little bit because it is
when you work with the itty bitty, it's like you're sewing for hours and hours, and you've only got a piece that's a 12 by 12.
It takes so much longer. But again, it took me a good 6 months to piece that quilt, And I would do it in my spare time because it's like that's what I love about scrappy. When you're doing a scrappy quilt that you don't have a pattern, you're just sewing pieces together. There is no rush. You're not looking at anything. You're just mindlessly sewing. And I love mindless sewing. Oh, it makes me happy. I haven't done mindless sewing in a couple of months now. I'm dying to get back to it. I need to get back to me. I'm just sitting and not thinking about anything, just sewing it together, making it work. Yeah, da, da. There we go. Come on. I just like to make sure I always have my walking foot. This machine has a integrated walking foot. You don't have to put it on and take it off. You just engage it. And I never disengage it. I only disengage it when I'm using special feet, special presser feet. See here, I lost the points a little bit, but I don't care. It's not
But
that
it's not
much.
going to matter.
No, you can hardly notice it. Okay, now I'm going to press this open.
Because when you put the next side on, you might gain your piece back.
Yep. Anyway, but it looks good. Oh, God, it looks so pretty.
And if you don't gain your piece back, then it's just a sign for you to know if that was your quilt you made.
Yep. Oh, that's your
You
signature.
made that block because of that detail.
Look at that. Look how pretty that looks. Right there. Just that. Now, we're going to the rest of it. Now, I am going to put this together. So to put this together, I have to do this as a block. Okay? These two pieces with the flying geese has to be one block so I can attach the other two. That's the difference between this piece and this row and this row. Watch the magic. Watch the magic. I love doing that. When I got to that part, I thought, that's fun. I found that so fun. See, because these were ironed a little while ago, finger pressing, just keeping them open is easy. And I always take off the dog ears. So when I'm done with the project doing these kind of squares, you're always going to find little pieces of fabric all over my floor. All over the place. But I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I just sweep it up. And believe me, I have a little bin with teensy weensy little tiny scraps that I'm going to be using in my stuffies this year. Because have you done your Christmas project, Hedy?
No, I have not.
Neither have I. For our Christmas in July, we're participating with Mona. If you're seeing this in the year we made it, which is 2024 in July, we are participating with Mona. Mona said what? On her channel with a project called Christmas in July. And we're making Christmas ornaments. So if you're interested, no matter what year you're watching this in, but you want to see people making different beautiful Christmas ornaments handmade, just follow Christmas in July by Mona Said What. And follow everybody's project. I know Lisa put one out this morning I haven't seen. I gotta go see it.
Yeah, Michelle put one up.
Oh, I love Michelle. She made a Christmas angel out of a, what do they call that little wheel?
A yo-yo.
A yo-yo. It's so cute. I'm gonna try to make it. Okay, so I am going to. Okay, this one goes here. Yep, and this one.
I've got a couple ideas in mind of, but it's different things than fabric.
It doesn't have to be fabric.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about the Christmas in July. It just has to be a Christmas ornament. That is the only requisite. It has to be an ornament. Can be out of paper, can be fabric, can be felt, can be pine cones, can be anything you want it to be. Me, I'm not sure what I'm going to make yet. I still am thinking about it. No, this one here. And that one there. On the top. Yeah, that's the way you guys.
I've got small, tiny rocks.
Uh-huh.
that I was thinking to use,
Okay.
or I've got some clay.
Clay?
Yeah, it's hard.
You gonna make claymation, woman?
I don't know.
Oh, that would be so cool. If you make claymation, I will just go crazy. I don't know what I'm gonna make yet. I'll probably end up making my Christmas star, which I make every year anyway. I have the pattern. I even created my own template out of plastic from Dollar Tree, so that I always have it instead of doing it in paper every year. And yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably end up doing that. Okay. Okay, so I got them both done. Here's the second one. And making sure we get our points, don't lose them too much. Here we go. All right, now cut it. She's tired. She's been working hard. My sewing machine. I'm defending you, you baby rat to me. I have not let her have peace for 2.5 years. Ever since the day I bought her, I have not stopped using this machine because it is just freaking. This is a FUF Quilt Expression 720. Uh, this I will not advise you to buy it anywhere unless it is in a shop. Make sure you buy it in a good reputable shop that will give you service. I have to take her to the spa. I just don't want to. I don't want to stop using her. I love her too much. Okay, make sure again that your fabric is on the right side, colors matching. Put them together, and then you're going to have your little middle block for the row. So yeah, I adore my sewing machine. She does so much. I quilt on her. I have done very light embroidery on her. I'm not an embroiderer in any stretch of the word, but I have used it to write words, make designs. I love to use her as a decorative stitch on my binding. Like when my binding doesn't come out the way I want it, instead of just going crazy trying to make it look perfect, I'll do a decorative stitch on top and you won't see it. And those decorative stitches have come and been cool. There are some stitches I haven't touched yet. I will eventually. Number one.
Oh, stop it.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Breathe, Hedy, breathe.
She's deciding to act up.
Yeah, you know how they get after a little while? I think they're talking to each other and they're telling ooh, let's annoy them now. They've been on for a while.
Well,
Let's get on their nerves.
that is annoying.
Believe me. Oh, come on. When you were a kid, didn't you ever think your dolls talk to each other?
I don't remember.
When I was a kid, I didn't have dolls. My sister had dolls. I had a typewriter. I had a camera. I had an easy bake oven. But I didn't have dolls. But I used to think that my sister's dolls would get up and go make food on my easy bake oven. I was a weird kid. Okay. Anyway. All right. I'm going to open this. I'm going to give it a quick press. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the 4.5-inch squares of the background fabric. There we go. Always to the dark. I'm pressing to the dark. You know, and I do have this the whatchamacallit stuff. Oh Lord, let me get one out so you can see. Okay. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. Yep, it's gonna fall. Yep, it's gonna fall. Nope. That's what I mean. It sticks for a minute, but if you move it, all right, you stay there because you're gonna come out. All right. I use this when I have a very difficult when I'm pressing and it just wants to get up. After I apply the heat, what do they call this again? Oh my god, a tailor,
Clappers?
a clapper. I like the clapper, and I've used it. I've got 3 different kinds. This is the best one I have. I just after I press, I don't use steam. After I press, I'll use steam sometimes. I leave it on. This absorbs the heat, but it presses the fabric flat, and they really do. It really does flatten them out. There's a lot of ways. There are people that are using now. Where is it? I have one here somewhere. This. They'll use this. They fill it with water. They put it only on the seam, stitched,
Yep.
and then they'll put the iron on it. It works. I have it. I've used it, but I like the clapper better. My favorite is the clapper. Truly, it's
Well,
the
when you've
clapper.
got such a stubborn, thick seam,
Yeah.
like the middle of the pinwheel, it's so thick
Yep.
that you need that little bit of extra heat into it to flatten it down.
Yep. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to place these on either side of this little block that I just made. That's all. That's all I'm going to do now is just put that there, and you're going to see the magic. The magic come to play. You'll see. Very simple. This one I do trim down because it's going to have a frame. So after it's done, the whole block gets framed. Okay. And now I put it on the other side. Again. What? This is easy. This is no signs, but it needs a little bit of press here because the fabric. There. See? Press. Don't iron. Just press. Iron
Yeah,
really
so
stretches it.
when I press, I will literally put my iron down on my fabric that I'm pressing,
Mm-hmm.
and put my hands up for 2 seconds. I count to 3 and then slide it off.
Yeah. You transmit the heat. It's just the heat. The fabric takes the heat. I don't know the science of it. I'm a nerd, but not that far. One day I will
So
learn. I'd love to go and see how fabric is made.
I have a wool mat that looks very good. I have a wool mat that I use.
Oh, okay.
So the weight of the iron and the wool mat.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, that's what I got here, kid. Look.
Yep.
My wool mat. I have 2. I have one that I received as a gift. And I have this one. I'm not going to stop using this one until it's all messed up. Because I love this mat. Not too big, not too small. Just the right size. Okay? So this is going to come here.
And the reason why we press and not iron is because we don't want to distort the fabric.
Exactly.
Sometimes we're cutting on against the grain of the fabric, so there's more stretch in the fabric.
Exactly.
And when you're ironing that stretch in there. So if you've sewed it with a stretch, then you're gonna iron that stretch in.
Yep. And that's what we don't want.
So, like here, there's hardly any pull. There's hardly any pull. But when you go corner to corner, you look at that stretch that I've got there. And then you see how it's disordered.
Exactly. It distorts. That's the whole bias thing. Now, I know a lot of quilters are terrified of the bias. I'm not. Bias doesn't affect me. I guess it was my years sewing, clothing, apparel. So bias doesn't scare me. I know how to move fabric and not let the bias distort it. I really haven't had that much issue. And another thing that I'm not afraid of, and I've made a lot of stuff with, is on point. I don't know why so many people are freaked out with on point, but again, it's like I freak out with pinwheels. Other people freak out with things on point. I don't. I love on point.
because for myself, I can explain for myself why on point is a hard thing.
Why?
For myself, I learned the straight, the straight across or up and down. It has to be
Ah,
straight. So in my mind, it's hard to do a diagonal. So you're doing the row on a diagonal
mm-hmm.
instead of straight, and then you've got corners. Well, you're working with a biased edge, and that's hard because you don't want to stretch. Does that make sense?
Yep. Voila. Look.
There you go.
Ain't it pretty? Now I'm gonna put it
You
together.
know?
Yep. Now I'm just gonna put it together. Now we sew row to row. Now here, you're matching up a lot of little seams. So I do, where my seams are gonna be nesting, I will put a pin there and make sure that when I get there, try to make sure that my seams match up as best as possible. Again, I do what I can with what I have. If they nest, great. If they don't, they're off a little bit. Well, they're off a little bit. I don't stress it. For those of you out there that have OCD, I'm sorry. I'll apologize up front. I it doesn't really bother me at all. I know there are people that it just drives crazy. It doesn't on me. It really doesn't. I'm looking. I'm looking toward the end product, nothing else. So, see, now I've pinned it. I got it pinned as best I can. Now, because all this, look, on this side, there's a few stitches. On this side, there's more. So I'm going to start on this side because that way I can monitor the stitch better. I can match, I can move, I can fudge if I have to because that's where all the space is. On the other side, there isn't that much space. So that's how my brain, again, that's how I look at it. So I don't worry about it. And here we go. Here we go. See, and what I do is, again, it's not pulling, it's maneuvering the fabric so that everything goes where it needs to go. And again, this is the best tool ever created. I love it because, like, when I'm coming up to a seam that's bulky like that, I make sure it's lying flat. Stick it in there, make it lie flat. Coming up to a part, making sure that the other one is down, the other one's up. Get in there. Coming to the next seam. As I get closer, take the pin out. Start maneuvering the rest of my fabric, making sure that I have enough to reach the end of whatever I'm making. Because believe me, it has happened. But again, fudge it up. I don't need to fudge anything today. It's going to be perfect. Let's see. We shall see. Let's see. Let us see. Let us see. And just a little bit off right there, but not too much. You can't even see it on the camera. Okay,
Looks
part
good to
two.
me.
Part two. Again, you have to come up real close to see
Well, yeah.
it.
And if a person's looking that close, it's not worth it.
Girl, I'm telling you. Again, for me, all it is again ironing. I've learned throughout the years that I've been sewing with quilting, that I've been quilting, ironing is key. Truthfully, ironing, having your fabrics pressed before. Look, you don't want it to shrink. Iron it before. I don't starch. I tried starching. I'll starch certain items depending on what I'm going to do. If I'm going to be making drunkard's pack, then I'll starch. I will not over starch. I use a little spritz bottle. That's when I starch. But I don't over starch. I have seen people that soak the fabric in starch. I am not cutting
Yep.
with paper, I'm cutting fabric. I like having give in a fabric. So that's why I don't overstarch. If the fabric is really screwed up, really messed up, then I'll starch a little bit before I cut. Before, not
Yes,
after.
starch
Before.
before you cut
Exactly.
because the starch actually shrinks part of
Yes.
it. So
So that
if
way
you
you
cut
want to
over
pre-shrink.
your strip for squares and
Mm-hmm.
then you starch it, you'll actually see it's wonky and you'll think that you cut it wonky,
And it's
but
not.
it's not because you starched it after.
Exactly. And another thing that I learned watching all these creators here, I love steam. If I'm having trouble, I will steam it. Oh, you can bet on it, especially if it's if after I'm sewn, I have to fix something, I will steam it. Oh yeah, and then a clapper. Yes, I will steam. I like using steam to make sure that like right now this doesn't want to fit. So I'm going to have to fudge it up a little bit and I will, but I want this one to fit there. And that's why I like to pin because I know where I have to fudge and where I have leeway. It's
And
all you.
one good point to notice is when you're putting the things together,
Uh-huh.
if one side is longer than the other, so you've got more give, put that piece to the bottom. So it's as
Exactly.
closest to the feed dogs as possible.
Yep.
Because the feed dogs actually take up more fabric than the top. So if you put that bigger piece where you've got some looseness, you put it at the bottom, and it'll feed evenly through your sewing machine.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Hedy. Telling you people, we're just normal quilters here. There's no professional quilters on this channel. Remember, I started my channel just to goof around. I'm not a professional quilter. I will never presume to be a professional quilter. I just love to quilt. There is a difference. So when I screw up, you're going to see it. When I make something good, you're going to see it. See, that where the excess was is like, I put it like Hedy said, underneath. Feed dog's already fixed it. It's fixed. And like this, which I adore, all I have to do is mess. There we go. Underneath. Straight stitched. Yes. Keep on going. Come up to the pin. This is all I like. That's why I know there's a lot of quilters. You tell them pin, and they look at you with horror. Don't look at them with horror. I pin. Deal with
Yeah,
it.
and some people like to pin and some people don't.
Exactly. I do.
I'm not a pinner.
It helps my hands. I'll put it that way.
I will pin a piece of fabric onto another, so I know that goes together. But I don't pin it to sew it. It's not going under my sewing machine.
I don't pin bindings. I used to. I used to pin the whole binding, the clips. I don't do that anymore. All I do, because I iron my binding, it's for me, binding is so easy. There we go. Ta-da! Look how pretty.
There you go. The points look good.
Don't they look adorable? Okay, let me give it a quick press. Now we're going to put the border on it. And I'm done with this part again. Loving it. Loving it. I'm telling you. I'm getting better every day.
Well, the more you sew, the more you know.
Yep. Girl,
it's like
still
doing anything.
I have to get that picture. I have the quilt that I made for my son. Oh my god. Oh my god, Hedy. Oh my god, it had sashing, Hedy. Oh my god, Hedy. The sashing on that quilt. It was a quilt as you go. It had sashing. And there's a sashing here and a sashing over there and a sashing like this. Yeah. But hey, they use it. I don't care. When the people in the future come and look at that quilt, those historical people, and start trying to look at it and say this was a design choice. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was a mess up. It was a total screw up. That the quilter had. Okay, so now we have a finished inner block. Now we're going to border this block. That's all we're going to do. We're going to put the border on, and then this block is done. So I'll have 2 blocks, 3 to go, to then start my sashing. So
and with that border you're putting on, you're only matching the beginning and the end.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no other seams to match.
Nope.
It will take away some of the bulkiness, so the whole quilt isn't all bulky.
Nope. And I always cut them a little bit longer. Look, that again, Jenny Doan. I'm telling you, I got a lot. I learned a lot from Jenny in those first years. I know a lot of patterns tell you cut so much. I always cut a little bit more. Why?
Well,
because if it doesn't, like if I screw up, I have a place to fudge it up with. So I'm not talking inches. I'm talking maybe half an inch, just a half an inch longer. And that has helped me with my sashing so much. That's why it's gotten better. And I screwed this up because nope, you went away. You went off. Nope, 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 no. No. Went off a little bit. I can't let her go off a little bit because then there. Do not go off again, please. Thank you. I'm gonna have to put a pin here just to keep her straight. See, that's why I pin. That's why I keep saying people are different. If I don't pin, look, I am sewing a straight thing to a straight thing. That's it. There's no, the matching is over here. There's no matching. It's just keeping these down. But if I don't pin, like what just happened now, the fabric started getting away from me. So to keep it straight, I just need to start off pinning. Just one pin. Keep it straight. Get that first stitch in. And then the rest is easy.
Yeah.
There we go. See? Now I can take the pin out. I don't need to pin anymore. Because now I can hold the bottom fabric and make sure it's aligned with the top fabric. And just voila! Keep sewing. And keep checking and keep sewing and keep checking. Making sure that it's aligned. That's all I'm doing. See? Now coming up to one that's facing the needle, and I have my orange thing. And just holding it so when the needle goes on it, done. Now see, this is all I had. I'm going to show you. See that little bit? That's it. That I can cut off nice and easy now. And it'll be done. That side. Now I'm going to do the other side. Again. Little piece. Make sure it's the right side. Pin it up front. Put a little pin. Just make sure it's straight. See it? And again, I know my deficiencies. I know my issues with my hands. That helps me. Now, in this case, I didn't square it. But you know what? It's not off by much. So I'm not even going to trim it. It's going to be hidden. And see, There we go. This is the one that has to be matched exactly on the corner. There. So you see, matched on the corner, matched here, and matched here. After I start sewing, I don't need to pin anything else. For me, that is the point. Because it was about to go off wonkiness again. It was going to be too long. It was not going to be on it right, and I was going to screw it up. So now I got it right. Stick it under the machine, take the pin out, and that's it. No more pin. Now I line it up, and I got it. And even though I didn't square it up, I know which fabric to follow. See how fast that was? Getting so good at this. And there's a little divot there. Done. Now just trim off the edges, and that part is done. Then put on the other side. Oh God, it's not cutting. Okay. Hey, Judy, gonna give it a quick cut and do the other one. Anyways, see, I already trimmed one side. Now I'm gonna trim this other little piece, and then, and again, just lining it up with the one you already have, because it's gonna be lined up. I always try to make sure that the ruler here, I don't know if you can see this here, that it lines up here. It'll keep this line straight. That, again, another little trick that I did not know when I started. All right, that little piece came off. Yes, now, gonna put the top and the bottom, and it's done. All right, my hand's starting to hurt. So, Hedy, I'm almost done with my part. Where are you? Let's see.
I've been kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Yes,
so
I know.
I'm frustrated with my machine right now. So I'm giving her a break and I go to ironing it, or pressing and trimming off the edges of my half square triangles and then swapping them out on the board.
Okay.
For the ones that I have to iron, press, and I go from there. And then I go back to my sewing. So I will be able to put it in quadrants, once I get it all on time well.
All right. So the next episode will be me doing my sashing and Hedy finishing her quadrants, and we'll be done. It's not going to be quilted, but it will be pieced. This is going to be a gift. So I'm not sure who it's going to yet. I have an idea, but I don't want to say, just in case that person's watching.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of quilts I've got to make. I've got baby quilts that I have to make because there's a grandnephew coming down the pipeline. So, yeah, there's some quilts there. So this has been the year of my family's babies. And we've had, one's already been born. It's a little girl. A little boy due in September. And another little boy due in December. So it's the year of the babies in the family. So the one in Puerto Rico, which was my little grandniece, she has her quilt. Batman already has his quilt. And Bear is the one I'm going to be making. I will be making that online, so you'll be watching a tutorial. Have a cute little pattern that I'm going to use. So as soon as the fabric is here, I am going to make that baby quilt. I'm so excited. Cannot wait to, because it's going to be showcased so nice. It's going to be truly showcased. And there we go. Good. I'm playing Bob and Chicken, just so you know. I think I'm going to win, actually. I truly think I'm going to win. I've got one side left to go. Pray for me, Hedy. I'm going in. I'm going in, Hedy. Here I go, here I go, here I go. Here I go. Okay. Pin, pin, pin. Pin, pin, pin.
And one thing with using the wool pressing mat, if you have a stubborn seam, use a wool pressing mat and leave it on the pressing mat. Don't try and take it off right away.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it on that pressing mat until it's cool.
Yep.
Because that steam is working in that seam and relax the fabric.
Yep, that's true.
So one thing you can do when you're putting your pieces together, right? You put it together and hit it with the iron. Press it.
Yeah. How many of you have burnt your fingers on a wool ironing mat? Every time I'm doing small piece work, And I'm pressing those seams open. Oh, I burn my fingers, but you know what? It's worth it. I'd rather
Get
burn my
yourself
fingers
some
and see that
heat
seam open the right
thimbles.
way.
You can get yourself some heat thimbles.
Uh huh.
It's literally a heat shield for your fingers. So when you're pressing your seams open,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to burn your finger.
Ah, there you go. People, words of wisdom from Hedy today.
So with the wool pressing mat, you can literally put your fabric together that you want to sew. Okay,
Uh-huh.
know what side you want to sew. So my sewing side is this side.
Okay.
I'm going to put the two of them down on my wool mat.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to hit it with the steam.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have one bobbin chicken. Applause, please. Applause. Applause. I want bobbin chicken. I want, and there's still a little bit there. I want bobbin chicken. I want bobbin chicken. Okay. Let me cut these pieces off and give it a press. And it's done. It is completed. It is finito. People, look, if you noticed, I have a nest. This is what you call nesting. I have my ironing pad here. I have my cutting mat here. My ironing board, my sewing machine here, and all assorted other things here. I create a little nest. Always. I used to do it at work too. I'd have my computer, my desk, filing cabinets, always nesting, always having a little nest, least movement necessary to get the job done. Create a little space for yourself. Look, to iron blocks, you don't need a lot of space. You really, really don't. All you need is the space you need for whatever you're doing. If you're doing something small, a little, look, this is 6 inch, 12 inch actually rotating mat. I love it. It is the best investment I've ever made. You don't need to have one. You can have just a normal mat. It'll move. But I like this. I really, really do. It's a really good one. Okay, it's done. Voila, et voila, et voila. I finished it. Oh yeah. I finished it. Oh yeah. I'm gonna give it a quick press. And we will say goodbye for today. Hedy, it has been
Yes,
real. It has been fun. And we're coming up on the end, Hedy.
we are.
Next episode, we should be done. I'm
So
going to have all my sashing. I'm just going to do one of them. And we'll put it together and we'll be finished.
are you going to have your border finished as
Yeah,
well?
everything. I'm going to have everything cut. Look how pretty. I love this.
Turned out good?
Huh?
It turned out good?
Yes, it did. Girl, I'm telling you. Your instructions, your measurements, look how perfect that looks. I love it. It looks so pretty on camera. See,
Nice color choice too.
See, you're going to have one there. You're going to have one up here. Okay. You're going to have one over here, one in the middle, one down there. And then it's all going to come together. But we're not going to show you that yet. I'm going to have them all ready. And for our next session, where we're going to finish, I'm not going to show you anything. I'm just going to show you how to make the sashing and how to put the sashing on the top part, and the rest will have been completed. That way we can put it all together and you'll see it all done. You have any words of wisdom for everybody before we leave, Hedy?
Take your time. It's not a rush. It's not a race. Take your time with every single step of it. From the cutting all the way to the sewing. Just take your time step by step.
Have fun. Enjoy the journey.
Have fun is the most important thing.
Heck yeah. All right, everybody. We will see you on the last chapter of Sew Along with Schlick. It's a big word. Schlick
Slick.
Stitches
Yes.
That's the Purple Unicorn, Schlick Stitches, and the Grandma Quilter. Bye.